Welcome to room 9, the region's largest classroom. I am Mrs. Wright and I teach 2nd grade at Monroe Elementary in St. Charles. I actually teach 1st grade, but I love 2nd grade too. That's why I'm teaching 2nd grade for teaching in room 9. So this lesson is meant for 2nd grade reading, but as always, everyone, grown-ups, kids, anybody of any age, of any learning style is welcome to learn with us. Okay, so I hope you have had a wonderful day. I had an awesome day. It was just one of those feel-good days, you know, like everything kind of went right. I listened to good music today. It put me in a good mood. I got myself a Starbucks before I taught at school this morning. So I just had a really great day. And I hope you had a great day too. Now, I know that sometimes not every day is great, right? Some days aren't great. So what I do when I have a rough day is I try and look for something good in the day. I try and look for something to make me feel happy, that brings me joy. I try and look for something to be grateful for. So right now, we're gonna think of something, and maybe you're having a great day, and this, maybe you're kind of like, oh, that's easy, I can think of this, this, and this, right? So do it. But if you're having a hard day, this is gonna help you, okay? So I want you to think of something today that, and maybe it happened yesterday, but something that happened very, very close to right now. So maybe this is the morning time and this happened last night. Maybe this is the end of the day. It happened earlier this morning, okay? So something that's really close to happening right now, not something that happened 2 days ago, 4 days ago, 3 weeks ago, something like last night or this morning or this afternoon. And I want you to just think about it. Made you smile, made you laugh, made you feel joy, made you feel grateful, right? That is how we can control our mindset a little and help us to try and stay positive when maybe things aren't feeling so positive. So I'll share mine with you. I got to watch Billy play softball, and it made me happy because I was able to see how much joy that brought him. So that made me happy. What about you? Oh, I have something that could bring you joy. Hold on, let's see. Molly, come here. Hi, come here. Oh, she's gonna bring you guys joy. Come here. Come on. Come here. This friend, she brings me joy a lot, don't you, Molly? She cuddles me. She's a good girl. Say hi to the kids. They're 2nd graders. Maybe they're adults. I don't know. Say hi. Look, she's camera shy. Oh, say hi. What is that? What is that? She needs to be groomed, don't you? So think of something. I hope Molly's brought you a little joy today. She brought me some joy. She loves being snuggled. Oh, you're such a good girl. Yeah. So think of something. Oh, don't knock my camera over. She really still brings me joy. All right? Good girl. Yeah. All right. Nice. You thought of it? Okay. When you're feeling down today, think of your joy. Okay? All right, let's get started today. So, we are continuing to work on text features, and I'm super excited because I have an awesome book today. So, our objective is I will be able to identify and use nonfiction text features, okay? If you were with us the other day, if not, that's okay. No worries, I got them right here for you. If you were with us the other day, you learned that the table of contents tells you what the book will be about. It has a heading and a page number. I see you, good job. If you were with us the other day, you learned that the heading tells you what the whole page will be about. I see you, good, good. And I see you too jumping in even though you weren't with us yesterday. Way to go. And then I see a little subheading. And the subheading tells you specific info on that section, right? Nice job, friends. So, I am ready to show you some more nonfiction text features, but really close. Let's find these ones that we already know. So, oh, yep, there it is. Table of contents are so reliable. It's already at the very beginning of the book for you. We know we're gonna learn about going to the extreme, on top of the world, water and wind. What is this about? Extreme sports. Whoa. So this is probably a book about extreme sports. Okay. Ooh, so playing safely. That must be how to be safe with extreme sports. That you can read on page 28. It says chill on page 16. On board is 18. Maybe that's like a snowboard. Making waves. Ooh, maybe that's like surfing. 22, page 22. So this is a little different than our endangered elephants table of contents the other day. This table of contents specifically was really easy for me to, specifically told me what I was going to learn, like elephant food. Well, I know on that page I'm going to learn about elephant food. It was very clear. These table of contents, the headings on here, they're a little more fun, and I kind of think I know what I'm going to learn, but not exactly. All right, so let's see. Oh, flip the page. Point to that heading, which tells you what the whole page will be about. Nice job. And then go ahead and point to that subheading, which is a smaller heading that tells you specific information on that section, right? Okay, awesome. So we already identified these ones that we've already learned. So I want you to go ahead and get out your binoculars. And you don't know what binoculars are, guys. Binoculars help you to see things. Magnifying glass makes it bigger so you can see it a little better. So pick which one you want to use, binoculars or magnifying glass. I like binoculars. Ooh, okay. And we are going to look for text features that are not ones we know, that we've learned. So we've went over headings, we went over subheading, we went over table of contents. I'm going to just flip randomly, I'm not even going to go in order, through the book, and I want you to put those binoculars up or your magnifying glass and try and find some other text features. Oh, yep, I'm still here. Oh, by the way, this book is being used with permission from Crabtree Publishing Company. Let's go back a couple pages. I saw it, did you? Oh. Nice. So we've learned about the important features that happen at the beginning of the book, and you guessed it, I really want to talk about those important features that happen at the end of the book, okay? There's this weird word on this page? Look at this weird word. Weird. This word is glossary. Can you say that? Glossary. Yep, it reminds me of like something shiny. Glossary. So a glossary is a place where you can find what words mean. Yes, a glossary tells you what words mean. So we're going to add that to our chart here. And this is super important. And how it helps you as a reader, it tells you what words mean. That's super nice to know. Well, I don't know what a vertical is. Oh, I can look it up in the glossary. So a glossary tells you what words mean. Okay. Glossary. Oh, I already did hand motions, like spirit fingers, I mean. So a glossary tells you what words mean. A glossary tells you what words mean. I don't know, I just made it up, guys. Hopefully, maybe you can come up with a better one. I don't know. Okay, but notice this glossary has bold words at the beginning. And do you notice something else? Yeah, they're in ABC order. So artificial, BMX biking, flip, grab, grind, gravity games, half pipe. The glossary is in ABC order. Now, there's no C's on this glossary because there weren't any bold words that needed to be talked about the meaning of that started with the letter C. Hopefully that made sense, okay? So the glossary tells you what words mean. I'm gonna read you a couple of these glossary words. Team, you probably know this. A group of professional athletes who travel together but may perform individually. And that's interesting because in my head, teams play together, not individually. So that tells me something else. A glossary must tell you what words mean according to this topic. Oh, that's super important. Tell us what words mean according to the topic of the book. I should probably add that. Of the, oh my gosh, my hand, book. Okay. Then we have professional, a person who makes their living as an athlete. Well, I'm not an athlete, but I am a professional. I'm a teacher. So again, that's reminding you that the definition of these words is according to the topic of the book. So in this book, Endangered Elephants, the glossary is telling you what a crop is according to the topic of elephants. Okay? Okay. So let's keep going. Ooh, a vertical is describing freestyle extreme sports in which athletes use ramps to launch themselves straight up into the air. Woo, crazy. Oh, we have an index. Now, an index is kind of tricky. A lot of readers get an index confused with a table of contents. Okay, now let me tell you, they are not the same. They might seem like they do similar jobs, but they are not the same. An index can always be found at the back of the book. A table of contents can always be found at the front of the book. An index gives you a list of topics that are covered, that are talked about in this book. And it tells you the exact page number that that topic is taught or talked about in this book. Okay, so example, it's also in ABC order. It says right here, rock climbing. Rock climbing is in this book, and it's on page 2. It's talked about on page 7 and on page 24. So the comma separates them. So it's talked about on page 7 and then again on page 24. In the table of contents, what it does on the table of contents, it just tells you the heading and where you can find that heading or that section start. So on board, on page 18, this whole section is going to be about on board, okay? But, pardon me, rock climbing is going to be talked about only on pages 7 and 24. So rock climbing on page 7. The sport of rock climbing slowly developed as mountain climbers began traveling up steeper slopes. Teens were diving off cliffs in Mexico as early as the 1930s. But it wasn't until the 1950s that people in the United States first saw films of cliff diving. Okay, so that's what talked about rock climbing on page 7. So now let's go to page 24 and see what they talked about with rock climbing. This subheading says climbing. So maybe I'll read under here. Maybe I should start at the top. I see some things about rocks up here. Many extreme sports seem to center around defying gravity. Climbers scale or climb rocks and other surfaces, sometimes with little or no equipment to help them, to prove that they can make it to the top. Other athletes want to fly, and with a little help, they can. Climbing. Most climbers use ropes for safety as they scale rock faces or vertical surfaces by gripping cracks and bumps with their hands and feet. Anchors help prevent climbers from falling. Anchors are pieces of equipment that are wedged or drilled into the rock's face. There are several types of climbing, which are done on a variety of surfaces, including rock, ice, and artificial climbing walls. Some climbers scale surfaces without using any equipment. This style of climbing is called bouldering. So the sections that talked about rock climbing weren't only just about rock climbing. So that's a little different about the index. The index isn't promising, page 7 and 24, the whole thing's going to be about rock climbing. It's just telling you, hey, there's a little bit of info on page 7 and page 24 of rock climbing if you need to know, right? So let's say I have this book, Extreme Sports, and I'm like, I want to know if this book teaches me about skydiving. Well, I could look at the table of contents, but actually, skydiving, that starts with an S. I'm going to flip to the index, and I'm going to go to the S's. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, la, 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 la. There we go. There it is. Skydiving. This book teaches me about skydiving on pages 28 and 25. Okay, cool. So I could read about skydiving on here. I want to know if this book, like Extreme Sports, does this teach me about, I don't know, like basketball? This book teach me about basketball? I'm gonna go look, A, B. Oh, I don't see anything about basketball. So if I wanted to learn about basketball, this wouldn't be the book for me to read. Because the index doesn't tell me that it teaches me anything about basketball. But if I wanted to learn about skateboarding, whoo-wee, look at this book. Page 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17, 22, 26. That's a lot of pages. This is the book to read for skateboarders. Okay, so we have also now learned about the index. And the index tells you, hopefully you can still see it, yep, tells the topics in the book and the page number you can find them on. So, as a reader, I would use the index, like if I wanted to specifically know, should I read this book if I want to learn about volleyball? Let me see. Nope, volleyball's not in this index. So this isn't a book I should read about if I wanted to know about volleyball. But I do kind of want to know about windsurfing. Yeah, this book will teach me about windsurfing. So I can read about windsurfing in this book. So it helps you if you're looking for a specific topic, information about a specific topic. An index is super, super, super helpful to you. Okay, now this book has something that I really like to point out to you. Okay, this book has a fun little fun fact text box. Now it says extreme danger. It has like its own heading. It has like a box around it. It has a picture, okay? This is like a whoop, get your attention kind of thing. I don't know that there's an actual real text feature name for them, but I decided to call them fun fact boxes because they're all over nonfiction books, especially National Geographic books, okay? So this says extreme danger. This book is full of thrilling photos, but these athletes are experts. They are very experienced and have been practicing their amazing skills and dangerous moves for years. Do not try anything shown in this book. Whoa. So the fun fact box, it gets your attention to give you important info. Gets attention, whoops, that is not how you make an A. Gets attention to give info. Okay, so if I was reading this elephant book, maybe there would be a fun facts box that says like, elephants weigh 10 million pounds. I don't think that's really true. But a fun facts box does teach you, and it gives you important info that you need to know. Okay? So let's read a little. I kind of just want to read this first page, going to the extreme. Extreme sports are some of today's hottest sports. They are described as extreme because they often involve high risk and loads of creativity. Some of these sports are dangerous and some are strange, but all of them are exciting for athletes and spectators. On the edge, that's the subheading. Many extreme sports are individual sports, which means that athletes perform alone. Competitors in sports such as BMX biking, however, may travel as part of a team. Extreme sports test the limits of athletes' abilities. Some athletes even risk their lives to improve their skills. This doesn't mean that all extreme sports are dangerous. However, some sports are simply unusual. Most extreme athletes enjoy being different from other athletes. It's part of what makes them and their sports unique. Speaking the language, that's the subheading. Extreme athletes have their own terms to describe moves, equipment, and styles. Some of these terms relate to only one sport, but a few words are used in several sports. For example, many sports have a freestyle, or a style that allows the athletes to be as creative as possible. Specific tricks or moves are regularly given unusual names by their creators. Names and terms are all part of the extreme sports culture. A culture is a set of values shared by a group of people. Culture also includes music, clothing, and magazines that athletes and their fans enjoy. A brand new world. It's a subheading, pardon me. This book describes extreme sports that are done on land, in water, on mountainsides, and even in midair. Some are popular all over the world, whereas others are also new that many people have never heard of them. All right. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed learning more about nonfiction text features, and I will see you back here next time. Have a great night.
Teaching in Room 9 is made possible with support of Bank of America, Dana Brown Charitable Trust, Emerson, and viewers like you.